Hey everyone, welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today, and let's just jump right in. We're talking BlackRock.
BlackRock, yeah, they're everywhere, but kind of behind the scenes, right?
Yeah,
Where?
exactly. I mean, you hear the name,
Yeah,
you know it's Wall Street.
big money.
Yeah, big money, trillions of dollars. But like most people probably couldn't tell you what they actually do.
Right. So that's kind of our mission today, right? Like peeling back the curtain, seeing what BlackRock is all about. Good, bad, something in between.
Totally. And to really get this, I think we have to start with the guy who started it all, Larry Fink.
Okay, so Fink. Interesting guy, really. You wouldn't think it now, but he was really into politics early on. Got a degree in political science, even.
Huh.
But yeah, seems like he figured out Wall Street was where the real power was.
So instead of shaking hands and kissing babies,
Yeah.
he's on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up at First Boston. In the mortgage bond department. That's got to be intense.
High stakes for sure, but he kills it. Like $1 billion in profit for the firm. That's not just good, that's making a statement.
Yeah, no kidding.
But then, well, you know how these stories go, right? Big success usually comes with some kind of, a stumble.
Oh, yeah, what happened?
Loses $100 million. Bad bet. For a lot of people, that'd be the end.
Yeah, probably. Career over.
But not Fink. He took that loss, learned from it, became obsessed with risk management.
So that's like the DNA of BlackRock then.
Totally. Like his philosophy almost.
Okay, I mean, he didn't build this whole thing by himself, right?
No way. Connections are everything on Wall Street.
Cool.
And Fink, he had them, especially from his frat, Kappa Beta Phi. You know Michael Bloomberg?
Sure.
Yeah, he was in it. Goldman Sachs chairman, that kind of network, man.
Doors just swing open.
Exactly. So 1988, BlackRock is born. And the growth is just nuts. In 5 years, they go from $5 million in assets to over $8 billion.
8 billion. How? What's the secret?
Well, they were early into this new thing called ETFs, exchange-traded funds. It's like you're buying a basket of stocks, easy way to diversify, and they were all over it. Right place, right time, I guess.
So they've got that. They've got Fink's obsession with managing risk, which, after the craziness of the 80s, probably made investors feel pretty good. But there's one more piece, right? Aladdin.
Oh, yeah. Aladdin.
What is that? It's kind of secret weapon.
It's their supercomputer, analyses investments, manages risk, but on a scale that's like mind-blowing. We're talking over $20 trillion in assets. That's bigger than the entire U.S. economy.
So it's like BlackRock has this crystal ball that can predict the future. No wonder they're so successful. But wait a minute. That much power, that much insight into everything. Doesn't that make people nervous?
Of course. I mean, you start thinking about transparency, accountability, conflicts of interest. It's a lot of power in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to the big one. 2008, the financial crisis. BlackRock was right in the middle of it all.
Okay, so that's got to be a huge turning point, right? I mean, some people even say that Fink's early work with mortgage-backed securities,
Mm-hmm.
the things that caused the whole mess in the first place, that he was part of the problem.
Yeah. It's complicated. I mean, on the one hand, you have that, but then the government calls them in to manage the assets of these banks that are going under. They need someone who understands risk, and they need it fast.
So BlackRock is the solution.
Well, maybe. Or maybe they're both the problem and the solution.
Okay, so which is it?
That's what everyone's trying to figure out. Did they profit from the crisis?
Yeah.
Get super rich while everyone else was losing everything? Or were they just the only ones who could fix it? It's still debated today.
So BlackRock comes out of 2008 even stronger.
Yeah.
More powerful. But it's not just Wall Street. Like, they're everywhere, even in stuff that affects us every day, like the media.
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because you start to see how much influence they have. Like, they own chunks of all these huge media companies. Fox, CBS, Comcast.
I have to go. So like all those NBC channels.
Yeah. MSNBC, CNBC, even Sky. And get this, Disney, too.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of control over what people are seeing and hearing. And then they're also invested in all the big tech companies too, right? Google, Facebook, all that.
Exactly. It's not just media. It's the whole information landscape. So then you have to ask, if they have this much power, are they using it to shape the narrative? Can we even trust what we're seeing anymore?
Right. And it's not just controlling the story, it's the data, right? All those companies, they're collecting tons of data about us. And BlackRock, through Aladdin and all their investments, they have access to it all.
Yeah, that's a big concern. Like, they're using our data to make money. Fine. But what else are they doing with it? Some people say they're using it to influence companies, even governments.
Wait, hold on. You're saying BlackRock is trying to control governments?
Well, think about it. They had that contract to manage EU bank regulations, which, okay, fine, they're the experts. But they also own stock in those banks. So who are they really working for?
It's like putting the fox in charge of the henhouse. And what can anyone even do about it? How do we make sure they're doing the right thing? For everyone, not just themselves.
Tough questions. And it gets even trickier when you look at China. BlackRock went all in on China. Big move.
Yeah, they were the first foreign company allowed to run mutual funds there.
Huge deal. But it's also controversial. Like, they're investing in Chinese companies that are on the U.S. blacklist. Hikvision, for example. They're accused of some pretty bad stuff, human rights violations.
Hold up. But what about all that ESG stuff? Environment, social governance, they're pushing that like crazy, but then they turn around and invest in companies with terrible human rights records.
Yeah, it's hard to square those two things, isn't it? It makes you wonder how committed they really are to those values.
Maybe it's just about looking good, you know? So investors feel good about giving them their money.
It's possible. I mean, the whole ESG thing is a big debate. But BlackRock, they're driving a lot of it. Like, they have so much money, they can force companies to change how they do things. And that's a lot of power.
Okay, so that's one side of it. But investing in China, it's not just about business, right? It's geopolitics, too.
Oh, yeah. Huge
Right.
implications. Some people are really worried. They say BlackRock is helping China get more powerful, that it could hurt the West.
It's like they're playing this game with the whole world, and the stakes are super high.
Exactly. The decisions they make, they don't just affect their bottom line, they affect all of us. And it doesn't look like they're going to slow down anytime soon.
So what does it all mean? Where's BlackRock taking us?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about in the last part of our deep dive. We'll look at their plans for the future, what it could mean for the world, for all of us.
All right, so we've seen how powerful BlackRock is, their reach. It's pretty incredible. But what's the end game here? What kind of future are they trying to build?
Well, if you listen to Larry Fink, he's always talking about ESG investing.
Yeah, environment, social governance. We've talked about that.
Right. It's this idea that companies need to think about more than just profits. They need to be sustainable, responsible, treat their workers right. And that's become like the hot new thing on Wall Street.
BlackRock's pushing it hard.
Yeah.
But are they serious? Some people say it's all just for show. Greenwashing.
Oh, yeah. There are definitely skeptics. They point to some of BlackRock's investments and they're like, come on, you're talking about saving the planet, but you're still funding polluters.
It's like, which is it? Are they the good guys, or are they just playing us?
It's a good question. I mean, their actions don't always line up with their words. But you got to admit, they're putting a lot of weight behind this ESG thing. They can actually force companies to change.
Okay, so maybe they're not perfect, but they're using their power to make things better.
Maybe. But there's another side to this, too. Like, some people say BlackRock is actually making inequality worse.
How so?
Well, they're all about shareholder value, right? Maximize profits. And sometimes that means companies cut corners, pay their workers less, ship jobs overseas. And who benefits? The people at the top, the shareholders.
So the rich get richer and everyone else gets left behind.
Exactly. And that creates a lot of problems. Social problems, political problems. It can destabilize a whole society.
And then there's the whole thing about their influence on governments. They've got those cozy relationships with politicians. They're lobbying for policies that benefit them. And they can literally move markets with a single trade. It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It's a lot of power for one company to have. And it raises some serious questions about accountability, about democracy even.
So what's the answer? What do we do about all this?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, BlackRock is here to stay. They're only going to get bigger, more powerful. So I think the key is awareness. We need to understand how they operate, what their goals are, and then we need to hold them accountable, make sure they're using their power responsibly.
Yeah, because the choices they make, they affect all of us.
Absolutely. This isn't just about Wall Street. It's about the future we're building, the kind of world we want to live in.
That's a good place to leave it, I think. Lots to think about. So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of BlackRock. It's a complicated story, but it's one we all need to be paying attention to.